Here I am. Chris Jenkins, credential media member for Charlotte Vibe to cover the Carolina Panthers. Here to talk to you about today's Week 12 matchup of the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints. Final score in this game, I like to think of an old saying I used to hear, too much to too little. Carolina Panthers 31, New Orleans Saints 34, last second loss. And yeah, I'm here to talk to you guys about it. So as always, I love to hear your feedback and interact with you. So got a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about today. And before I get into it, a few things I want to remind you of. The independent media is supported 100% by you guys. So your donations, your super chats, your cash apps, all that stuff, whether it's $1, whether it's $10, all really help me continue to do what I do, which is work for you guys, bring you interviews with players and all kinds of stuff that I love to do. So consider doing that. Links are in the description below. And hey, if you've already subscribed, don't have any money, or aren't able to donate, it's the holidays, hey, do me this favor. Just hit the like button. That's the easiest way to help give me some support. So got a lot of stuff lined up for you guys today, all right? So we're going to do a recap of this game. We're going to look at some stats that I like to do after each game. Joey Slye. We're going to talk about Joey Slye, that's for sure. Kyle Allen having a good day. DJ Moore playing through some things. What about Ron Rivera's future? We're going to talk about Rivera's future. And in between all that, again, I want to hear a lot of questions from you guys, right? Let's go. First, let's see how everybody is feeling. So I'd like to start out with some shout outs. See who's out here. Locks Main is here. Talking about Joey Slye. Shaquid Bar. He's here. No surprise. He wants Ron Rivera to be fired. We're going to talk about Ron Rivera. We're also going to talk about playoff chances. What are they? Is it possible? Can we make it? Defense was really bad. All right. So you guys are slowly getting on here. I don't blame you. Sometimes it's a little tough. Hey, if you guys have seen my voice struggles, I got prepared. I'm going to sit here and sip on my water, take my time. Some people probably said that it should be vodka, but I don't drink. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right. So before we get into the big thing of Joey Slye, we're going to start looking at some things on the offense first. So let's talk about a man, Kyle Allen, which says that he, as the game ended, walked off the field with his arm around the shoulder of Joey Slye, and during the postgame, he mentioned that, hey, he'd just been there before. You know, last week when he threw 4 interceptions, he did not exactly give the team the best chance to win. And I agree. You know, kickers do go through some things, but I really feel like Joey Slye's struggles are a little bit more significant than you would expect. But let's go to Kyle Allen, who started out really good with those 4 games, and then it's been a bit of a funk. Let's look at his stats today from playing with the New Orleans Saints. So you see here, a man, Kyle Allen, I feel like he just had some growing. God of Blackness, what's up on tap? Hey, God of Blackness always shows up, always throws a few dollars my way to help us out with the call, so I appreciate it. God of Blackness, if you could explain the on tap thing so I can read it, and because I always mess it up, but appreciate you doing that. So Kyle Allen today, pretty darn comparable to Drew Brees, and I think this bodes well for Kyle Allen's future. He certainly had a funk. If he's out of it, that's great. It definitely gives his team a chance to win. But look at this, 26 for 36, 256 yards. But the biggest thing here is 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He got knocked down 4 times, but 112 pass rating. Drew Brees not far off, you know, the 30 of 39, 311 yards, 3 TDs, 1 interception. So I like to say there, good job, Joey Slye. Good job, Joey Slye. Whoa, long day. Good job, Kyle Allen. So you guys are leaving your comments. Please keep leaving them. As I finish each piece, I'm going to come back and make sure I address these things with you guys, because a lot of people aren't happy. A lot of people are shocked. But I want to be here to, you know, share my world of being in that locker room, being able to talk to coaches with you guys, and hopefully get some answers. And I don't know, might not be able to make you feel better, but give you some answers. Let's go and talk about the receiving side. You know, DJ Moore, he's been coming on pretty good ever since those comments were made by Steve Smith. And it wasn't like DJ Moore was doing bad, in my opinion. He wasn't having any 100-yard games, but he has now had 100-yard games in 3 out of the past 4 games. Missed last game having 100 yards by just a few, but you could also say that he's had a chance to develop a little bit more chemistry with Kyle Allen, because now at this point they've played 11 games. So that's positive to see. Let me go ahead and pull up these stats that I have on DJ Moore. And these are really impressive considering that he got hurt pretty bad in that first half, something with his arm. But, you know, that guy played with a lot of heart, played with a lot of, you know, courage, which I'm going to get to Ron Rivera's comments on these guys here shortly as well. But DJ Moore, 6 catches, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. So very impressive by him to continue to, you know, give this team, give this offense some promise. And then Christian McCaffrey, not far behind. He had 9 receptions. As usual, I'm sorry, I was about to say DJ Moore, but Christian McCaffrey is perfect on his catches. 9 for 9, 70 yards going there. So offensively, like that. And then let's go ahead and talk about Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey did not have a 100-yard rushing game, but the Saints did a pretty good job of keeping him contained. Had a very low 2.9 yard average, but still has some good runs, still a good weapon for us. Christian McCaffrey basically with about 140 total yards of offense today, giving us a chance to win, something we just could not pull out. So on Tep, we go as Tep goes. Our ring is on Tep. That is my man, God of Blackness, and how he feels about this. I get confused. Like people, you know, people calling me while they know I'm doing a live video. What y'all trying to do? Y'all trying to see if you can break my focus, but you can't. I'm here working, talking to the people about this Carolina Panthers matchup. So questions are coming in slowly as I expected, but, you know, it's all right. So let's go ahead and get into the post-game news conference. Ron Rivera had some comments about none other than Joey Slye. So give me a second. There might be a slight pause, but I'm going to play what Coach Ron Rivera had to say about Joey Slye.
Opportunities, though, and that's the thing. He's going to make something that will help us win, and that's the thing he's got to understand. You know that this is all part of it. You know, let's don't forget this is really his first year. You know, and that's the one thing that a lot of people got to understand. He's a young kicker. He's going to make his mistakes, but you know, if you give him time, you stick with him, eventually he's going to become a good kicker, and hopefully he'll be a good and old kicker.
All right, so those were Ron Rivera's comments on Joey Slye. So at that time, he's basically saying, you know, the guy's young. He has to have time to develop. It's only his first year. I get that, but I think it's pretty poor. He missed three kicks today. I think it was 2 extra points and 1 field goal. Let me bring it up real quick just so I can talk definitively here. Give me just 1 second if you don't mind. Come on, computer. You guys can probably tell me before I can find as slow as my computer's starting to go here. Just a second. Computer does not want to go quickly, but as this is trying to come up, I'll continue to talk about some other things. But Joey Slye, this wasn't the first game that he's had a performance like this. It wasn't the second game. I really want to say it's not even the third game. So he has some definite issues to work through. I think that's a little bit beyond being a first-year kicker that will put his future in jeopardy. Now, do I want it to be in jeopardy? No, but I feel like it is. And at the time that video was recorded with Ron Rivera talking to the media, Joey Slye and him had not spoken yet. He did say that he would talk to Joey about that, and he didn't mention what. And I'm assuming he's going to mention that, hey, I've been trying to give you some benefit of the doubt, but you gotta start to step up. I got Joey's stats now in front of me as the computer finally goes to work here. He was 2 for 3 on field goals and 1 for 3 on extra points. So missed 2 extra points and that field goal at the end, which was just, So that was just brutal for him to miss that. All right. And like I said earlier, I showed the stats of Slye. Why do I keep messing that up? Showed the stats earlier of Kyle Allen and him having a pretty good game, like pretty much the best game you can have after coming back. I'm sorry, after throwing 4 interceptions, coming back throwing 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Was under a lot of pressure. Did some things where he used his feet a few times. Did some things where he threw the ball away. So just got back to showing some poise that we had gotten excited about early on. It's like that's come back. So you hope that's something that he can continue to build on. Here's Ron Rivera talking about Kyle Allen's performance today.
Oh yeah, and again, that's the we gave Kyle time. I mean, I thought our offensive line did some good things. I mean, again, credit them. They rushed the passer and they were effective at times. But our guys, when Kyle has time, has an opportunity, has a fairly good pocket, he can make good decisions. And he threw the ball well. I mean, it's just unfortunate. We had a couple opportunities on defense and we missed those as well. So it's a team game. And if all 3 phases, something happens, you're usually going to end up on the wrong side.
DJ Moore looked to battle through after a couple of painful moments and into physical pain, and then ended up having a big game.
I mean, again, for a second-year player, the dude's courageous. He stepped up. We needed him to be out there. He went out there, and that's hats off to him. I mean, young guys learn how to win. You're going to be a good football team, and I believe DJ knows how to win. So, again, hopefully, we can all understand what it takes, and we can all continue to grow and get better.
All right. So there you have it, Coach Ron Rivera talking about the performances of his team today, including that effort by DJ Moore, which was indeed courageous. It was promising to see him playing like that, not only to come back in the game, but to come back in the game and be effective. Catching that at the start of second half, that deep ball from Kyle Allen, and then he just continued to ball that entire game. And obviously was in pain. You could see him jogging off the field sometimes, kind of holding that arm. But nevertheless, it wasn't a good game in terms of the conclusion. So let's go ahead and talk about the big point of this game. Panthers showed some good fight today. They came out. The Saints was hitting them in the mouth, up 14-0. Then they exchanged touchdowns. So as we catch up, they scored. We catch up, they score. And then late in the game, we actually stopped them. And we were able to tie the ball game up 31-31. Driving down, Kyle Allen is still looking sharp, getting the ball out. He's been under pressure all day. I don't know what down it was, 4th down, 3rd down, but pass play, Jarius Wright gets pass interference, which you don't think is going to happen because there's been so few times that play has been overcalled. Yeah, there's a lot of irony in that whole pass interference thing is now there because of the Saints, and then they got it overturned in their building. But nevertheless, we were able to win it. The pass interference had a chance for a field goal, and I'm thinking we're good. This is not 30, 40 yards. It's pretty close in. Joey Slye misses it. So this loss today to me, I wouldn't put it so much on the coaching, and I'm going to talk about Ron Rivera's future with you guys here in a second. But games are like chess, right? You come out with a plan, they come out with a plan. Maybe their plan's better than your plan, so we make adjustments, and then you try to win. So I feel like the adjustments today were there, and I wish I could bring back up the stat, which actually I'm going to bring back up this stat here in just a second. One of the things that I like this game plan today, because one of the things that you've been seeing happening is that Curtis Samuel hasn't been getting a rock. So look at this. Curtis Samuel today, he didn't have 1, he didn't have 2. This guy had 4 rushes for 40 yards. 4. There has not been a game this year where Curtis Samuel's had more than 2. And I feel like that's this team knowing that they have some assets. And Kyle has not been able to get that chemistry with Curtis yet. And this was a way to get him his hands on the ball. and it was effective. So I feel like from a coaching standpoint, they did what they needed to do, where I'm feeling okay with that. Joey Slye's performance was really the thing that hurt this team today. And, we didn't make that field goal. They come back. Drew Brees does what Drew Brees does, being the first ballot Hall of Famer that he is, gets his team in position. James Bradberry, he was in the locker room after the game with his head down, just motionless, obviously feeling a lot of fault for giving up so many yards to help get them in field goal position. But Drew Brees, you have to think, could have done that 50 million other ways in terms of getting his team in position to kick that field goal. They kick the field goal and they win 34-31. So let me go ahead. I've been talking a lot, going through all of my things. Let's go ahead and talk to you guys right now, all right? See what the people are saying. First question, can CMC win MVP with the Panthers losing each season? My man, Stack. So here's the thing. Unfortunately, Christian McCaffrey is not going to win the MVP. The reason he's not is because his team is no longer winning. That's going to, number one, hurt his popularity. And number two, MVP, hey, you got to be helping your team win, right? You have to be helping. They don't have to make it to the Super Bowl, but you have to be helping your team win. And right now they're 5-6. They have a losing record. So he is totally out of the MVP race because of that reason. All right, let's talk about Joey Slye's employment from Locks Maine. Joey Slye is employed and will remain employed. The reason, the Panthers aren't in a good playoff position. And I don't feel like you need to kick this guy out and bring another guy in that might do who knows what when you already got a guy that can do good, can do bad. He's been on the team. That might not be as prolific of an explanation as you guys like, but for those reasons, I feel like Joey Slye will still stay on this team for this year. And I feel like at most what you'll see is Rivera starting to go for 2-point conversions more than going for the extra point, which is so backwards that this guy's making 50-yard kicks, but he's not making his extra points. But that's my opinion on the Joey Slye. Shaquille Barr, the defense was really, really bad. So this defense started out really, really bad, and particularly in the run defense, and Ron Rivera likes to talk about the gap protection. They started out really bad, but they got it together. They got it together decently. Now, there were some things that I definitely didn't like. Who was it? I feel like our secondary, Eric Reed, and today I saw James Bradberry, they sometimes have a tendency to just not tackle well. And I'm not saying that they should be lighting people up like Luke Kuechly. I mean, these are secondary backs. But I know on one play, James Bradberry was coming from behind, the guys running forward, and he went to just kind of hit him hard with a flipper, and I'm like, that's kind of pointless. You're just helping him go forward. Needless to say, he didn't make the tackle. The guy kept going. And I know there's a few plays where Eric Reed, it just kind of bumped guys. And I don't like that so much. I mean, yeah, you can do that sometimes if you're coming like this. But other times when you're going this way or that way, I think you need to go ahead and wrap the guy up. But after that, I think the defense played okay. We did have two big injuries today. Dontari Poe on the defensive line side. Then we had Greg Van Roten on the offensive side. Those guys are carted off, did not return. So we're starting to get dinged up in areas where we were going to have some strength, at least on the defensive side. And then on the offensive side, we've just been up and down all season. We've been able to do a good job there. So the rest of the season does not bode well again for those playoff chances. Thanks for the question, Shakid. Yanellis, this one stings. Yeah, this one stings. I feel like this is a game that unfortunately just takes a lot of the fight out of you. I don't feel like these guys are just going to quit. Not at all saying that, but I feel like you're riding back on that plane. Fortunately, it's not a West Coast trip. And you're just like, man, it doesn't matter that you had all these games that you lost at the last second. I think technically it's probably the third game this season. I mean, that's not going to matter for anything. And these guys are professionals, and I know this. So I feel like they're just going to, it stings. just to agree with you here. We had the game in our palms. We let this one slip away. Joey Slye let this game slip away. Stack he's here. All right, I know you're here. Ask some more questions. I answered your question, Stack. What you want from me, man? What do you want? Shahid Chris, I'm angry because the defense was too soft. You cannot keep giving up big plays. Is it too hard to ask the defense to tackle, to not get beat up in the air? So, yeah, Shahid, I just talked about that a little bit. What was Ron's excuse for the defensive very bad effort? So Ron wasn't asked specifically about the defense's bad effort, and I feel like he wasn't because, again, that defense was able to tighten things up. They were also playing against a very good quarterback and Drew Brees. So I feel like for the most part, that first quarter was really bad, and then they started tightening up and they made adjustments. And I forget the guy's name, Cook, perhaps. I could be wrong. But that big guy that they had, I mean, there were some plays where he's looking like he's like 6'10", and these guys are 5'10", and you couldn't really stop him from catching the ball. But once he caught the ball, for the most part, he was immediately tackled and brought down. So there were some things that they did that's just, they're not a bad team that we played against today. Rob, amen. Ron Rivera needs a change of scenery. All right, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So you guys that are want to talking about Ron Rivera, I said guys, but you guys and girls that want to talk about that Ron Rivera thing, just stay tuned here, and we're going to talk about it. One second. Let's see. How do you have McCoy and Poe with Luke flanking them and can't stop the run? Yeah, again, the run tightened up in this game. Okay, so it started out pretty bad, but the run really tightened up. So, Alvin Kamara, I can't say his name. He had 54 yards. Latavius Murray, he had 64 yards. So they had a total of 118 yards rushing. We had 121 yards. And I don't have the breakdown by quarter of the stats, but I feel like it tightened up very well after that first quarter. I'll lead 3 first and goal on the 1 yard line that we didn't score a single point. Tyrone Green, we should beat the Redskins. We should beat the Redskins next week. If not, then somebody got to go. I'm going to comment on that in a second. Tyrone. Broderick, had we made the TD, Joey wouldn't have been in this position, but Joey got to do his job too. The D didn't get a lot of pressure. The D couldn't cover anyone, even in the second half. Eric Reed in the second half got beat up. Marty Herney should also be sent to the unemployment line. All right. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Hey, I hadn't talked about it, but super chat, $1, $2. Again, donations are pretty critical. Fully funded by you guys to be able to travel to the games, the equipment that's purchased, interviewing these players, and able to do live videos like this. There's no one else in Charlotte that does these live videos, talking with fans like I do. So that is appreciated. So special teams was an issue. So we had that Rashawn Gaulden getting bumped into DJ Moore. That resulted in a turnover, helped them put points on the board. You even look at that and say that we could have been in a better chance to win. But let's go ahead and talk. What's up, Pat Coltrane? So let's go ahead and talk about some jobs and some futures here. All right. So if you guys haven't checked out Pat Coltrane, I got to give him a shout out. The reason why is because, sometimes you meet people and they're so cool, you pick up some of their mannerisms and you don't even know that you're doing it. So sometimes I do that with Pat Coltrane. So Pat Coltrane, he's in here. If you can, tweet your YouTube link so people can check you out. That would be awesome. So let's talk about Ron Rivera's future. So David Tepper met with the media earlier this week. Your boy wasn't in there. Whole different story. But me mentioning that lets you know how I feel about that. Said mediocrity is not going to be accepted. And, I'm going to admit that I have a hard time thinking about, firing people because I get to be around these guys and kind of feel like a little bit caring about them as a person, right? And I'm like, Ron Rivera, he's all right. He's winning, he's had injuries. I don't know if he should be fired like that, like he's so horrible, but I'll accept whatever happens. But here's how I feel about it. I feel about Ron Rivera's future that he's not in a good position to have one. I feel like he knows that he's on the hot seat. I feel like he's been told that he's on the hot seat. And the thing about Ron that I feel like will lead him to being not the head coach of the Carolina Panthers is that his pattern is that he does well once his back is up against the wall. And there's nothing wrong with being able to respond once your back is up against the wall, but you need to respond at times when your back is not up against the wall, right? You need to do that week in and week out. And it seems like Rivera does it best, does it most when his back is up against the wall. So to me, Tepper's going to look at it and say, hey, I need better consistency from you. So for that reason, I'm going to let you go. That's how I feel about it. I also want to talk about playoff chances. Some of y'all might be saying, how in the world are you going to talk about playoff chances when this team just lost? Because we got to talk about it, man. Can they still make it? All right, so theoretically, mathematically, Carolina Panthers still have a chance at the playoffs. But I'm going to tell you that they're not going to make the playoffs. I feel like they still can possibly finish 500, finish 8-8. I mean, we got the Seahawks that are coming to town still. So we have some games that are still challenging to us. But currently, here's the problem. The NFC is having a very good year. All right, the team that's in sixth spot, that's who we have to catch up to at least, it's the Minnesota Vikings. Anybody knows what the Minnesota Vikings record is? I'm here to tell you that the Minnesota Vikings record is 8-3. Carolina Panthers are currently 5-6. So 3 games back with 5 games to play isn't a positive situation. Behind the Vikings, we are behind the Rams, behind the Bears, behind the Eagles, and there we currently sit as a 10th seed. All right, so let's look at the Carolina Panthers remaining schedule. If you guys are leaving some comments, continue to do so because I'm going to come right back to them in a split second. All 10 people that are here because everybody's pissed off that the Panthers are losing. But you know what? I'm still going to do some fun stuff. I'm still going to have some players on. Probably will not be able to do so this week with the holiday. But after the holiday, hey, we're still going to have some fun, talk to these players. So remaining schedule, we have the Washington Redskins that'll be here next week. Winnable game. Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. It's a 50-50 game right there. We have not been playing well against them, and we're playing them at home. Seattle Seahawks. That is a loss. The Indianapolis Colts. That is possible. Anyway, possibly a loss to Indianapolis Colts. We played the Saints again last game at home. The only reason we could win that game is if they have secured their playoff spot, and it won't matter, and we get one of those victories like we had last year. So those were the remaining topics. Let me see what else you guys have talked about here. Fire Ron Rivera, talked about it. Jerry Richardson is no longer the owner. Rivera getting ready to be out. We are more likely to finish 7-9. So that concludes this video for tonight. Appreciate everybody that's tuned in, asked some questions, came on here. Hey, I work for you guys. I'm not going to be in the locker room a lot this week. I still want you to submit your questions, but I want to let you guys know that. I will definitely be back in the locker room next week. So continue to let I work for you guys. I mean it 1,000%. If you got a question for Ron Rivera, James Bradbury, Kyle Allen, whoever it is, I promise if you leave them in the comment and it's a respectable question, I'll go to that player, get that question answered for you. Either do a live video or have that recorded for you. Nobody else offers that, so I hope you guys appreciate that. I hope you enjoy it. Certainly enjoy working for you guys. Yanellis, I'm going to answer your question and get out of here. Can we just demote Rivera to defensive coordinator? He was good handling one area of the team with the Bears and the Chargers. I don't think that's going to happen because he's a coach, and that's just too demoralizing, too insulting, if you will, to say, hey, we're going to take you from a head coach and put you as a defensive coordinator. And then also the current head coach that they will replace him with is probably going to want to have his people around. So it's more like up to that new head coach that comes in that he's going to want, he or she will want to have their own people around them. So good question, though. Good question. All right, signing off. Appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you again shortly. I always do my day after thoughts, so do one tomorrow. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And if you'd like me, don't be like me. Why? I lost it. It's live TV. Y'all get to see. I didn't blow my leaves yesterday, and now they're wet, and I can't get them up. So just want to say, don't be like me. Next sunny day, blow your leaves so you don't have to wait in the rain to get on. That's my bit of advice. All right. Everybody have a good one.